Mama always said there's a lot you could tell about a bike by its wheel, what it's worth, what it's for, what a bike can actually do. I bet if I think real hard, I could tell you all the differences it makes.
It's true. You can learn a lot about a mountain bike by its wheel and the components that are around and in that wheel. And today we're going to take a closer look at the wheel and use the wheel to help us understand what we're spending our money on, what we should be shopping for, and what you may already have if you own a mountain bike. Hi, I'm Scott Higgins. Welcome to my channel, Newbie Mountain Bike Love. I'm dedicated to you, the new mountain biker. I remember what it was like to start mountain biking many years ago. And I have a heart for people, to help people succeed and overcome their fears and the things that hinder them. So let me be your guide with my many years of experiences and unlimited resources to help you grow and conquer those obstacles that are out to hinder you and hinder your love for this great and rewarding sport of mountain biking. So thanks for tuning in. Newbie Mountain Bike Love, your new journey awaits you, and I'll be with you to help you climb those hills, overcome those obstacles, and grow together. Okay, first, let's look at the wheel overall. This is the wheel off my bike, and you can tell it's round and it rolls. But a wheel is more involved than just something that's round and it rolls. First, let's talk about some terminology. You've got a tire. Inside the tire is a tube. There's the rim, spokes. There's the gear cluster, our cog set. I've got a disc brake here on this side. Now, right in the middle, right in there, that's the hub. It's really kind of hid, but it's a really important component on a bike wheel. And that's something we're going to get into deeper. All wheels are definitely not the same. Just because it's round and it rolls doesn't mean it's a quality wheel. And I'm going to show you the differences. We're going to go further down the rabbit hole. So mountain bike tires can vary in price from $25 or maybe less up to over $100. Now that's a big price difference. That's a big range. So what's the difference? Well, again, all tires are not created equal, just like our wheels are not created equal. There's different proprietary rubber blends that each manufacturer uses, and they do a lot of research and development. They might do strengthening up the sidewall to help be rigid during the turns and the berms. They have puncture resistant technology in tires as well that also increases the cost. There's various levels depending on what you want. Somewhere in the mid-range, $40 to $60 can be totally adequate, but sometimes if someone wants something stronger, if it's for downhill or different regions and different issues, different problems, depending on where you ride, you might want to go ahead and invest in a tire that's over $100. That price definitely affects, the stability of the tire, the longevity of the tire, the lifespan of the rubber itself. So reinforced sidewalls and puncture resistance, grip, all these things affect price. It affects weight as well. If you want to go lighter, you've got to spend more. That's like anything in bicycling, anything in mountain biking. So to keep costs down, entry-level bikes, they'll use a simpler tire. Won't be as much technology in an entry-level mountain bike tire, but it'll get the job done. But you still need to know what you're looking for and what the tire is best suited for. So tires come in various widths. For your entry-level bike, that's more of your cross-country bike because that's the least expensive to build. You'll have tire widths around 1.9 inch to maybe 2.25 inch. Now up from that, you're getting into the all mountain range of mountain bikes. That's a mountain bike that can handle anything. And that's from about 2.25 up to maybe 2.5. And then you got downhill bikes, which are 2.5 or 2.5 itself. Fat tire bikes can go up to 5 inches. And those are good for snow and sand and maybe mud, but we don't ride much in the mud around here. It tears up the trails and you shouldn't either. Now, I want you to remember a tire with big burly knobs like this right here, they're going to grip well. My knobs are a little worn, but bigger the knobs, the more confidence you'll have through the soft sections and getting grip. But it does come at a cost, though. It will cost you some rolling resistance. So again, it's give and take. You figure out where you want to ride, and that's the tire that you'll pick. So whenever you're going looking for a bike, You need to understand what that bike is suited for, what the tires are suited for, what kind of terrain, and you'll figure out what terrain you want to ride and get a bike accordingly. If you want to go a wider tire, a lot of rims and bikes you can get a wider tire, but there is a limit. The frames have a limit to how wide of tire you can get before the tire actually will rub the frame. So that's where your local bike shop comes in. Ask those guys and gals, ask them what tire will fit on my bike. So inside most entry-level mountain bikes tires, there's an inner tube. The inner tube is actually a balloon type feature blown up with a valve, and that's what gives you your cushion. And you adjust your pressure inside that tube according to the specs written on the tire, according to the terrain you're on. If you're riding on maybe a flat road, you'll put higher pressure in there. And if you go off-road for comfort, you're going to want to lower the PSI, and also will help with your grip. Now, some wheels have tubeless tires installed, which means they don't have tubes. And instead, they use high pressure, very, very quick high pressure. And when you're blowing them up with a compressor, and it expands the bead of the tire to the lip of the rim. And also inside there is sealant. So if you go over any rocks or roots or thorns, it will be quick to sealant runs and seals those spots up. So you really have less flats with a tubeless setup. But the greatest benefit of running tubeless is you can run really low pressure, really low PSI. Depends on the rider's weight. Some people can run as low as 20, 22, 25 pounds, depending on where they are, the terrain, how harsh it is, and how much the rider weighs. And it's an excellent benefit to run tubeless. It really helps you grip anything wet roots, wet rocks. It helps grip in corners, and it really adds comfort to your ride as well. And as I said in a former video, it does take a little extra work. You do have to add sealant about every 3 months. It really depends on the manufacturer of the sealant that you use. Different manufacturers recommend 3 months or 4 months, so you just follow the guidelines and how much to put in. It's easy to do though. The tire does not come off the rim when you do add the sealant in there. But once a year, you need to take the tire off and clean that old stuff off. It's a bit of a chore, but the benefit of running tubeless it's really worth it. And real quick, I want to talk about valves. This valve here is a Presta valve, and now there's two types of valves. There's Presta valve and there's Schrader. A Schrader valve, I don't have one. A Schrader valve, go out to your car and take a look. That's a Schrader valve. That's the one that's most common. It's been around for years. And the Presta valve has advantages. It's on more of your high-end bikes and mid-level bikes and a lot of your entry-level bikes. But Schraders are pretty much always on cruisers or entry-level bikes. Now, the advantage of Schraders are they are easier to work with, and everybody's used to them. All the pumps will work with them as well. The Prestas they do hold a greater pressure, and they also are easy to inflate easier to deflate because you just can let the all air out. It comes out very quick. It's very easy to work with. I will caution you, if your bike comes with Presta, they're small and skinny. Now, and so you never want to drill out a rim to make it wider where you can fit a Schrader, because it really will hurt the integrity of the rim. Because that's one of the strengths of having an actual Presta valve, is that the rims are stronger right in that area. So it adds some integrity to the rim. Plus, with the Presta valves, you can get various lengths. A lot of rims are deeper dish, and you need a longer stem. So that's other advantage that Presta offers. Now, I want to talk about the rim for a second. And I know you can't tell on the outside what's on the inside of this rim, but I'll show you. There's all kinds of rims, but I want to go into what's going on with the entry-level rims. So we got entry-level rim. I got a cutaway. So we'll say this is the side of the rim. I've got two kinds. Let's say just cut the rim, took these out. This, if you can see that's single-walled. You can see right there, there's one single piece of metal there. And this is double-walled. And you can see it's doubled up on the bottom. That adds integrity. It adds strength. When you have a double-walled rim, that's what that'll do is help you have less warps, easier to true. It'll stay true, and it's also won't bend as easy. Overall, just a stronger, longer lasting wheel. And a lot of entry levels, sadly, found in department stores actually come with single-walled rims. And it's really hard to tell what you have. If just looking at the rim from the outside, they look the same because you can't do a cutaway. So it's basically, it comes down to price. If you go to a department store and it's a $300 or $200 bike or whatever, something along those lines, they're going to save cost somewhere. And that's generally a good spot, I'll say, or a bad spot to cut cost. All right, so we got tires, we got tubes, we got rims, and from the rims come spokes. Now, I'm not going to go into spokes as much. Spokes come in a variety of lengths. They come in a variety of the way that they lace up, the way that they hook up. Some are stronger than others, and there's stronger ways of doing it. And I'll say they come in numbers 24, 28, or 32. You know, a stronger rim will have more spokes. It all depends on your purpose. Now, that leads me to this. This is it's a gear cluster, also called a cog set. And that connects to the hub. I've got one here. Here is your hub that we just looked at, and there's your cassette. They come in various numbers depending on how many gears your bike has. Most entry-level bikes will have 7 gears. That means they have 7 of these. This one has, I believe this one has 11. And at this point, they go up as far as 12. That's how high your upper level mountain bikes come, was 12. And they've got 11 and a 10 and a 9. And I'm sure they're coming out with 13 soon. It's never ending. But it's good though, because there's a reason why we want more gears. Now, the more gears you have in your cog set, it actually gives you some things for the money. You will win when you get more gears. One thing is you'll have a greater choice of gear selections. You can find that optimal RPM. And what that does, that'll give you like balance when you're pedaling. You won't be pedaling too fast or pedaling too slow. You'll find something right in the middle that just feels right, and it helps you balance better on the bike. It's going to help you actually roll over that technical terrain easier, and it's also going to help you climb that hill and get to the top. And it really makes it a more enjoyable experience. Now, let's go into this hub. Remember the hub? That little insignificant piece right in there? Let's go into that a little. So what I want to show you here is a hub called a Freewheel Hub. It's older technology, popular until the late 80s. And the Freewheel Hub actually had the cassette would actually screw on. It was machined and it would screw on to this hub. But there were problems with that. The problem was, so as your axle went in, is the point of the bearings here and here. That's where your bearings are. So whenever they started adding more gears out, it put a lot of torque right here on that bearing. And there was a major problem with axles breaking. So they had to figure out a different way to do it. How can we make this stronger? So not only was it a weak design as you put leverage on those 2 bearings right there, also, since it's machine screwed as the cog set would screw onto this, it was really hard to keep it straight. So you can imagine when the bike's pedaling, it put a lot of torque on that because you just couldn't keep it straight. So they came up with a different idea. Splines. This is called a free hub or a cassette, a free hub cassette. This was on most modern mountain bikes, if it's not entry level. This is more entry level. This is what you're looking for. You really want that free hub. Free wheel, free hub. I know it's confusing. Just remember cassette. Because what it was this one with the cog set would screw on. This one actually splines on. I just took them off. Be careful. They like to jump off. They have a mind of their own. So here's its hub. And there are actually splines where they slide on. Now, what this does is it helps it be really straight because they machine this so fine that whenever you put the cassette on there and you turn, it's very, really straight and not a lot of play. So it's a superior design overall. And the bearing on this is not here and here, it's more here and here. So they were able, that's why you can get 12 gears because those bearings are spread out. So very, very strong. So the machine process in this is Really very high tech. I think there's patents on it. It's so good. And this is the Free Hub cassette is a much superior design than the Freewheel, the older Freewheel style. Unfortunately, it's really hard to tell when a wheel is on the bike what it has. If you find a bike in that $500 range, it's possible it could have a Freewheel. If you find one in the $200 range or $300, it's going to have this. But when you start getting up in the mid-range, it's hard to tell. So you really want to know what to ask for if you go to a local bike shop on what's going on. And another thing to look for are brakes. Got basically three types of brakes on most mountain bikes. You've got the standard rim brake, and then you've got your disc brake. And the disc brake comes in two forms. You know, they both have a rotor or a disc, and the calipers, they have calipers that will pinch to stop, but some have a cable pull or a manual brake. So in other words, you squeeze the brake lever at the handlebar, it squeezes the pads on the rim. Now, the other way is a hydraulic system, which is more mid to upper level mountain bikes. Hydraulic brakes, there's a reservoir at the lever, and then there's hydraulic fluid that runs and applies pressure as you pull it. It enables hydraulic system. And, you know, hydraulic systems actually amplify a little bit of pressure to be a lot. That's why hydraulics is such an amazing science. And so you can actually stop downhill very, very quickly with one finger due to the hydraulic system. So really a worthy brake and worth having and worth knowing if that's what you have. So I hope this quick summary of the wheel clears some things up for you, helps you understand what you should be looking for, understand what you may already have. Hopefully you understand that all wheels, although they're all round and they all have a tire around them, they're not all created the same. They vary in price, they vary in functionality, and they vary in quality. It's true. You can tell a lot about a bicycle by its wheel and the components of the wheel and what makes it up.
That's all I have to say about that.